Peter, why don't we let you formally announce where the men will be playing their games this summer and the specifics regarding the friendly as well.
Thank you very much, Jerry. Basically, in dialogue with Stephen, and really the best opportunity for our men's team to capture the 3 points in every match, the Canadian Soccer Association decided that each of the Men's World Cup qualifier matches will be at BMO Field here in Toronto. And I'll have Stephen explain maybe some of the reasons behind that. But as an organization, association, as our Centennial year, we're very excited to be bringing the matches here to Toronto.
Stephen, it is in your hands, and you will get, despite the cheers here, you will get some flack from around the country about games not being moved around. What's your response to the criticism that will surely come with the fact that all the games are being played in Toronto?
Well, I'm a coach, so I'm accustomed to flack. So, I mean, the reality is that it made sense to play the games in Toronto, minimize the travel as much as you can, and not have the players, you know, crossing time zones. So it just sort of made sense. We felt that Toronto, the dressing room, the feel, everything feels like home. And in discussion with players and with staff, we thought the best thing to give us an advantage would be to actually play in Toronto.
Well, Stephen, I have to ask this question, and maybe to Peter as well. In the past, we've seen Canada outnumbered by away supporters. We saw it only a few years ago when Honduras played against Canada in Montreal. I think it was like 70% Honduran fans. Great for them to come up and to support as far as the atmosphere goes. But if home field advantage is such an advantage in the game of football, how can we assure, as from the Canadian Soccer Association standpoint, that there'll be a pro-Canadian crowd there? Peter?
Yeah, sure. I think we saw that this past summer in 2011 in the second round of the World Cup qualifiers, that we did as best as we can to paint the town red, and there was significant and great support. I do believe in the countries that we're playing, in terms of Cuba, Honduras, and Panama, that we have an excellent chance, especially since with Panama and Cuba, to certainly fill the stadium with our supporters. But I think it's incumbent on everybody to buy the tickets when they're available, and even in advance. So I really ask everybody, when the window of opportunity to purchase the tickets is there, to go out and support Canada, support Stephen and the team and the men's team when the opportunity is there. But we'll craft some programs for Canadian supporters to be there. I think we've been very successful in 2011. We're successful with John's tournament for the CONCACAF. Everybody was painted red. So we feel very comfortable this summer.
Stephen, is it an issue from your point of view? Like, I know that the team is used to playing like it's an away game. How big of an issue is it from your point of view to see so many away supporters when you're playing in Canada?
Well, first to begin, it was fantastic for the last set of games to see so many Canadian supporters, and that was excellent. Of course, but you know, I've been here a long time. We've played games in the past in Vancouver, in Edmonton, and we've been outnumbered by fans wherever we've went, with the exception probably of the game in Newfoundland. But I think this is a new sort of order. The fans have been clamoring for games and for us to play more games and to be visible. And we've done that, and it's now for them to play their part and you know, push us along.
But, you know, I've talked to so many of the players, and Craig surely remembers what it was like for him as a player and how deflating it is to step out onto the pitch in Canada and see a sea of away supporters. Is there anything you can do for your players to try and make sure that they don't get down over that? You've seen it, Craig. What was it like for you?
Well, it's really disheartening, actually. I mean, you do get used to it somehow, you know, but when you come back and you're traveling around the world and you come back to Canada, play in Canada, you expect that you would have that support, and unfortunately we haven't always had that because of the number of away supporters that are really aggressive buying tickets. And whatever the CSA can do about that to try to make sure that as a pro-Canadian crowd, I think it's very important, because I don't think there's a sport in the world where home field advantage plays a massive part. You go to Honduras, you go to Panama, these are really difficult places to play. Obviously you're going to be pro their supporters, and come home, you want to use that 12th man as much as we possibly can.
Peter, I think you wanted to say something.
Well, I think we need to recognize the support that was there with the supporter groups this past summer. certainly everybody here that was there, we certainly appreciate your support, and they'll be there in droves. So we're fully confident in that, and we'll also be announcing that there will be a Canadian supporter membership program to allow everybody to be part of these matches in advance ticket buying opportunities. So we're going to do everything we can to give an opportunity for everybody here and the supporters to be a part of our home matches.
Peter, while you have the microphone, why don't you talk a little bit about the friendly that's due to take place in advance of the first round of World Cup qualifying in June?
Yeah, and we're very pleased, and we know everybody's excited. Maybe some of the news that may have broke yesterday, but we're very pleased to announce that in our Centennial year, there will be a major Centennial match with Canada playing United States of America here on June 3rd at BMO Field. And that match comes on the heels of a match, I believe, in 1925, which was our first registered international friendly in Canada, where Canada beat United States. So no pressure, Stephen. But we're very pleased to be bringing that match to Canada, to BMO Field in Toronto, as our Centennial match, and I think it'll be a great focus for the sport in our country.
And for the record, the last time Canada played the U.S. in Canada was qualifying for '98. It was the fall of 1997. The United States won 3-0, and no, Craig was not in goal for that game. So we put that to rest right now. But Stephen, why don't you talk about that game and what it means?
Well, it's a great opportunity for us. We were looking for a game before the Cuba game, but it had to fall within a certain time frame. And, you know, we had discussions about this game, and it's an excellent opportunity to play a CONCACAF team, arguably one of the top CONCACAF teams. And, I mean, it's almost ideal. We get to play that game, and then we go into Cuba, and I know the players are really excited about playing the U.S. On home soil after all these years.
Can you tell us as well, Stephen, about your other types of preparations and how this team will be ready to go other than the United States match?
Yeah, well, of course, the environment is important to us. We're going to prepare in Florida in as much heat as we can because June in Cuba, and it's going to be, you know, as you can expect, very, very hot. Obviously, we can't mimic the pitch, but we'll do our best to sort of acclimatize, and we'll come up, play the U.S., and train here for 2 days and head into Cuba.